All right, this is going to be a look at the Ravens' offensive line versus the Bengals' front seven, really their front four or front five. The Bengals play a lot of nickel, a lot of 4-2-5 nickel with Mike Hilton being on the field. So you're getting a generally consistent look. But when the Ravens have Pat Ricard, Josh Oliver, and then a second tight end on the field with a tailback, 22 personnel, then you get some variations in the Bengals look. Very smart defense, very prepared. I think they've always got a plan for each personnel grouping and formation. Some general observations before we start. Ben Cleveland got pushed around and knocked around a little bit early. Morgan Moses, I thought, struggled on run concepts away from him. At least one of these assignments you're going to see for Morgan Moses is damn near impossible for him to execute. Tyler Linderbaum did a much better job against DJ Reader than you think he did. Ronnie Stanley gets beat one-on-one by Trey Hendrickson in a three-man rush. But other than that, I thought did a pretty damn good job at everything he was asked to do. Just looked like the classy, elite left tackle that he is. That play really stands out to me, that strip sack. Poor play call by our coaches. What we're going to do is we're going to look at, I think, 13 run plays, and then 10 pass plays, all from the end zone angle. And then you guys can kind of be a judge for yourself about how well our guys played. And then are the Ravens going to be capable of blocking the Bengals on Sunday Night Football? All right, like I said, we're going to be all end zone angle film. This is first possession, first play of the game. It's an 11-yard run by Gus Edwards. It's a lead play. Now, look, this looks good. All right, great, fantastic. But the problem is the Ravens are so predictable sometimes. We're going to do this right here, motion likely over to the side of Ricard, like 3 or 4 plays from now in this video. I think it's actually the second or third possession overall, and we run the same exact damn play. I mean, you can't do that. All right, you can't be that predictable. Let's check this out. You got Ben Powers and Tyler Linderbaum. Watch what they do to DJ Reader. Now, he's going to come back on the very next play and kick somebody's butt, but he gets pancaked here. Likely doing a pretty good job, if you ask me, out there dealing with Mike Hilton. That's a matchup that we can win in terms of the blocking, the physicality of Likely. He's an incredibly strong guy. I love Trey Hendrickson in this head-up alignment, by the way. I feel like he generally plays this quite well. Likely doesn't engage him here. Likely goes and gets Hilton. Like I said, DJ Reader getting pancaked is pretty rare, right? You probably weren't expecting that one on the first play. Well, check out what he does on the second play. Very next play comes back and just dominates Ben Cleveland. He's really good at this, what we would call backdoor or lag technique. Now, this is not where this run is supposed to go. So were this not Gus Edwards, there would be some serious second guessing here. This is clearly supposed to go behind Linderbaum and Ricard, who are pulling. Now, I'm not saying that it's going to be a tremendously successful play if that's where it goes. Excuse me, I didn't mean to fast forward it. I'm not saying it's going to be a tremendously successful play if it ends up going there. I think if it does, it's going to end up bouncing. But what Gus is seeing is he's going to see Reader fight for this side of Cleveland. But Reader's just really brilliant. He's just setting Cleveland up, taking him where he wants to go, and then bringing him back here to the backside when Gus cuts it back. Poor read by Gus in the end, even though at the moment that he makes his read, it looks like there is a hole there. But DJ Reader is one of those guys who can basically two-gap. He can make it look like he's in the front side gap, and then he can play the backside gap when you do cut it back. 5-yard gain here. Pretty physical, everything over here on this left side. I'm talking about, both sides of what's going on. Watkins getting involved. Ricard is lined up at tight end. Likely is next to him. They've rolled up Jesse Bates, and then they roll Von Bell back to one high safety. Likely's going to go down on the D end, and then we're getting Cleveland pull. This happens often where we are basically trying to block a guy who's already engaged. And I wonder sometimes if our young players are sure or unsure of who to block. I'm talking about Likely and Cleveland. To me, if Cleveland's pulling, we're going to be kicking someone. And I tend to think that we should have blocked. Isaiah Likely should not have blocked that end man. That end man should have been kicked out by Cleveland, but I could be wrong. All right, third drive. Look, same formation. Are you surprised that this gets blown up? I mean, because of how predictable it was. This is the one that Gus got hurt on. Morgan Moses completely loses this. I mean, Sam Hubbard is lined up in damn near a 6. Some people call it a 7, inside shade of the tight end. He ends up inside of Moses. I mean, that is really poor by Morgan Moses. That's a slow step. That's damn near a no step. I'm talking about his left foot. Morgan Moses' left foot right there. We'll run it a couple of times. Really slow, really poor angle. If he's able to, get in here and Oliver's able to get in here, then you probably do have some kind of cutback for, 3, 4, yards, something like that with the way Gus runs downhill. Great job by Hubbard, who basically ends up running into Ben Cleveland, who's engaging an offensive lineman. Linderbaum works right up to the second level. I think he works right up to Pratt, who's a really underrated player. Hope that is Pratt. I keep saying 57 is Pratt. And Sample gets credit for the tackle because Gus got concussed. All right, fourth drive. This is going to be an 18-yard run by Kenyon Drake. Watch Pratt. It is Pratt. Okay, 57 is Pratt. Watch how he feels, man. He's just he's a very disciplined, smart guy, underrated. That's the reason why Drake cuts this back, is because Pratt is sitting in the hole. I also think that you've got a mistake here by Cleveland. As this develops, you'll see Ricard is going to block Logan Wilson, the front side inside linebacker. You can see him setting up to block Wilson. Linderbaum is one-on-one with DJ Reader. Pretty much a stalemate there. Cleveland is comboing BJ Hill up to Wilson. Well, Ricard is also assigned to Wilson. In my opinion, from what I think I know of the Ravens scheme, this is supposed to be Cleveland comboing the nose, in this case Reader, up to the backside inside linebacker, and then Ricard going and getting the front side inside linebacker. You still got to deal with these three guys over here with the right tackle and our two tight ends. But I'm just saying I think Cleveland is supposed to be comboing to the backside guy and not comboing to the front side guy, who is the assigned player for Patrick Ricard to block as well. Another tackle for CTB, who was involved in just a lot of tackles that game, to be honest with you. Looks pretty good coming downhill. All right, fourth possession. 1st and 10, you're getting a 6-yard run by Drake. Ravens are trying to combo DJ Reader here with, again, Powers and Linderbaum. And those guys are so small compared to him in a lot of ways that it's not like they're able to just dominate him and get him downfield, but they are able to combo him. And in this case, with the guard, Cleveland pulling away, Moses this time, his step, he's able to get in here and scoop and dig out BJ Hill. So there is a little bit of a lane there for Drake to at least press and get some yards. There's no running lane. There's no space. But because these defenders, Hill and Reader, have been blocked successfully, Drake is able to get through here for like a 5 or 6 yard gain. It's going to be tough sledding sometimes. I will say this. The Ravens running backs have bounced runs. I don't know what this is right here. I have no idea what that is. I've seen that before when it's a ball carrier, I've seen that before when, let's say Ben Powers had the football and was trying to, go this way. So the screen would be, slanted here. He'd be trying to go in this direction. I've seen it where a defender on the backside will pick up the ball carrier's leg if he's trying to get forward, if he's trying to stop forward momentum. I've never seen someone do that to an offensive lineman or a defensive lineman. Really weird stuff. All right, same possession, 4th possession, Justice Hill on a stretch concept. And, man, check out what Linderbaum does here. Now, this is another great tackle by CTB. Like I said, he's really good at coming downhill. Shocking how poor Demarcus Robinson played. All right, so you've got let me pause it right here. You got Kolar, who's taken on, I think that's Von Bell, but I could be wrong. And then Robinson appears to have let him go. Well, then Robinson goes up to CTB and doesn't touch him. I mean, he really played poor on Sunday. I know that he is aware of it. He's a veteran. Hopefully he's going to come back and play a whole hell of a lot better this week. All right, let's talk about this play. This is a stretch concept. So you saw the track that Justice Hill went on. We're trying to get likely from the backside over here. We never get our fullback tight end over there on that stretch play. But check out Linderbaum. He reaches, I think it's BJ Hill. who's in a 3 technique. That's not normal. Cleveland is there as well, but Cleveland is working up to Sample. So Cleveland is working up with Moses. One thing about Cleveland that I feel like I notice is this happens a lot where he's looking down in the middle of a block or often, for an extended period of time on a block and not using his hands as much. You're talking about like shoulder surface area. And look at Sample getting his hands on Cleveland to kind of disengage him a little bit. We'll run it a couple of times with Linderbaum reaching the 3. And then DJ Reader on the backside trying to cut it off, trying to cut off any cutback. It's a pretty impressive play. Nice job by Moses as well. Comboing Sample and then working up to Pratt. I think Moses is really good on stretch to his side. I don't think he's as good on zone concepts away from him. I don't know what that dynamic is. All right, 4th possession, got the run game going a little bit. This is going to be a run by Drake. A really soft call on Tyler Linderbaum. I don't see a hold. I understand that they called it and people didn't complain about it. This is, again, an example of DJ Reader doing a nice job playing this backdoor technique. So, everybody's moving in this direction. Now, Cleveland has already reached B.J. Hill. Let's check out B.J. Hill's alignment, see what he had there. Well, he didn't have to reach him. B.J. Hill's in a 3. So they're in this like 3-0-3 look. 3 technique, 0, 3 technique. Cleveland's able to scoop him out of there. So what Reader does is he plays the back door of this. He plays the lag technique. He's behind Linderbaum. Maybe he's letting himself get reached, but he's trying to run Linderbaum in this direction for when the cutback does occur and also to compress this gap here so that gap doesn't become really large. Pratt is there. Moses' block is late. Ball redirects, and they call a hold. I think it's a soft hold call, but I don't have the other view from the opposite side to see it. It doesn't look like to me a big hold. Now, we're running stretch, but we're pulling Moses. Moses has got to get to Pratt. I mean, just look at the alignment. The ball's going in this direction. I'm not blaming our coaches. I'm just saying that because of the Bengals' alignment, they kind of understood where the ball was going. Maybe that's why. So Moses is pulling, and he's got to get all the way over here to Pratt. Well, watch how quickly Pratt gets into the front side A-gap. Because, again, Reader's playing the backside. He's playing the backside A-gap. Pratt is going to the front side A-gap. Well, of course Pratt's going to beat Moses. He had like a 4.5-yard head start on him in terms of being lined up to that side. Hopefully that makes sense. When we're trying to answer the question, can the Ravens block the Bengals? The Bengals are very smart. They're going to shift, just like their linebackers just did right there, when they think they know where the ball is going. Same possession where the Ravens, kind of had the run game going. This is 4th and 1, a really poor play call if you ask me. I think Stanley does a nice job here, taking 68 down. Cleveland's got to get some kind of, he's got to get some kind of impact on Pratt, who, again, fills quickly, very underrated linebacker. These guys knew where the ball was going, fellas. They knew where the ball was going. That's just reality. As soon as Oliver motions over here, look at their alignment. I mean, the Bengals still have defenders on this side, don't get me wrong, but it's Von Bell. It's a safety. He's not going to fill with the same amount of force and impact as these guys are. This, to me, is on predictability. This, to me, is on us putting stuff on film and players seeing it and recognizing it in game. That's a big play, a big moment. I think we were down 17-0 at that point. I could be wrong. Got stopped on a 4th and goal. Don't like the play call in the first place, to be real. Hindsight, you'd say, hey, let's go for the field goal because we ended up scoring some points later that maybe we weren't expecting on scoring. This is a great job by DJ Reader. You will not believe what he does. Look at that. He actually has a hold of Kenyon Drake's leg down there. It's a fantastic job of, some people would say splitting the double team. It's not really splitting. He does end up splitting them. This is just old school double team technique. If you feel like you're going to get, driven back, get down to a knee, sink that shoulder, slip in between them. On a knee, Linderbaum and Cleveland are trying to work on him. He's still able to get hands on. Unbelievable play. That shows you the value that he has. That's a play that, were he not to be able to do that, Do you have a significant hole here? No, but you have the opportunity to get 2 or 3 yards. As it is, Kenyon Drake is held up for 1. Elite player, man. The fact that Linderbaum has to go up against him 3 times in his, well, I guess 2 times in his rookie year is a good thing. 3-yard gain by Drake. Fantastic fill by CTB, I think, off the left side. Cam Taylor-Britt. Bengals did this multiple times with Hubbard. So they know, they understand where the play is going. So Hubbard is going to wrong arm and give himself up, basically take out the puller, in this case Powers. Moses doing a pretty good job on 92. Oliver is comboing up. So you got most everybody blocked except for CTB. You're going to get a combo here to Wilson. Ricard is going to pull in this direction. And then the unblocked corner is CTB, steps in to make a tackle. They just have an extra guy. I think in some of these situations, the Ravens, when we run some of these plays, have got to arc release this guy. They've got to release him outside, see what the DN does. He may widen things up, number one. Number two, someone's got to respect that arc release, either the corner, Cam Taylor-Britt, or Von Bell, the safety. The Bengals like to leave their safeties back behind motion. So even though we're getting a motion that the Ravens coaches think is going to pull someone, the Bengals like to leave that safety back there, specifically for plays like this. Now, Ricard still gets up to him. I'm saying to you that this technique is only available to them because they have a safety and a corner backside. I shouldn't say it's only available. Having that safety and corner backside helps them in utilizing that technique with Hubbard. So arc releasing that tight end, I think, would be an option. All right, very next play, 4-yard touchdown by Kenyon Drake. And I think Moses pulls, gets out of here pretty good. Cleveland goes and blocks Bates, who's walked up in the box pretty much because it's right near the goal line. I think B.J. Hill's doing a hell of a job on Tyler Linderbaum here on the back block. Right here, Linderbaum is blocking back, and B.J. Hill gets his hands on his chest and stands him up. Good job of down blocks on the front side by the Ravens guys here. So down blocks is, we're talking about down blocks like this. Taking the defenders down this way so you can get the kick and then the wrap. I'm not sure the Ravens can rely on, these play concepts over the course of 4 quarters. Can there be 2 or maybe 3 possessions where they can get this run game going? Yes, I do believe so. I think you see evidence of it in those plays that I showed you. We may disagree about the effectiveness of it. With less predictability, I think you could have increased efficiency. All right, pass concepts now. Now, it would benefit the Ravens to get the ball out quick. This is the first possession. It's a 3rd and 10, complete to Likely. Look, Likely is a load. He is so strong. You saw an example of it. I didn't mention it earlier on. I think this is what Moses can do. He seems to be a better pass pro guy than run block guy. Strong, big. We did well, I think, in here at times. I don't think that we were terrible at all. Our premier guys on Sunday Night Football in pass pro have to win. Ronnie has to win damn near every rep. Morgan Moses does too. If they don't, there's just too many big plays that can be available. All right, Ben Cleveland, I think, gets beat pretty badly by B.J. Hill. It's not Ben Cleveland, my apologies. It's Morgan Moses. Overthrow. You can see that at the end of it, Anthony Brown's going to end up on the ground. It's a play action concept. So here's the move, B.J. Hill against Morgan Moses. Just breaks his posture, leaves him. Moses is trying to hold at that point, unable to get a hold of him. We're leaving Ricard to deal with Hubbard. And backside, they're dropping out DN Sample. So they're creating a 4-man rush out of what was a 5-man look on 1st and 10. Outside linebacker, edge player, outside linebacker, edge player, and then 3 D tackles. 2 D tackles and a nose tackle. Moses can't lose these. Can't. If the Ravens are going to have a chance to win, you just can't. Neither can, Kevin Zeitler, but he didn't play in this game. Neither can Ben Powers. Neither can Tyler Linderbaum. None of those guys can lose those matchups that cleanly. Look how strong Likely is, man. He's just a bull. Looks like a guy that could play D-end. All right, third possession, another interception. This one's not on Anthony Brown. This is Demarcus Robinson, clearly. Look, if the ball has to be placed, if you could walk over and put the ball somewhere for him to catch it, clearly the ball wouldn't be put off of the one, on the other side of his jersey. Clearly the ball would be put, on this side. Absolutely. So this ball is off by 1.5 feet, maybe 2 feet. I don't know. But you got to catch that football. Your catch radius can't be that small that on a drag where you have Mike Hilton beat, this ends up being dropped. But let's look at the pass pro. It's a quick decision. I think these are the types of pass concepts the Ravens have to use. I love Trey Hendrickson's I don't love it as a Ravens fan, but this is just the way you play football. How nasty he is and the push that he's going for. He's not always going for a speed rush. He's not always going for a spin. I think he keeps things generally pretty basic, and he's just trying to run Ronnie Stanley back into the quarterback's lap. Again, that's third possession, and you've got an interception. So at that point, you're talking about the Ravens have run 12 plays. Let me rewind this back. Sorry. The Ravens have run 12 plays, this being the 12th one, and they've got 21 yards. Unbelievable. All right, an under center screenplay to Kenyon Drake for 9 yards on the fourth possession. Again, I think the Ravens are down 17-0 at this point. Big gain. We're at least letting our guys get out. This may have to be something that the Ravens do more of. You can see Joseph Asai stems inside and almost gets to the quarterback. He's a talented guy, young kid. Essentially his rookie year, in my opinion, because he didn't play much at all last year. I think the Ravens have got to do some quick game stuff, screen stuff, as best they can to try to get the ball out and get the Bengals defenders out of position. They just have such high awareness. This is a slant to Isaiah Likely. I would still say that this is a quick decision. Ball's out really quick, in my opinion. Look at Brown looking off to our right, his left. The Bengals have taken a D tackle off the field, so they have edge rushers Hendrickson. I think this is Asai and Hubbard all on the field at the same time. Asai's got a great future, along with B.J. Hill, who's a pretty good pass pro guy. I think Linderbaum, Cleveland, Powers do a pretty good job here. Moses seems fine. I don't feel like Hendrickson's going to win on this pass rush move against Ronnie Stanley. I don't feel like he's going to win up the field. His wins, if you ask me, is going to be inside the B gap like he does later on in this video that I'll show you, to force a strip sack, to force the fumble in the end zone by Brown. Fifth possession, incomplete pass to Demarcus Robinson. Snag flat, so it's a quick game concept, meaning you've got, I'm not showing you the all 22, you got Drake running out into the flats, and then off screen Demarcus Robinson's running like a, an angled hook or a stop. Now you're not going to see that route. I didn't draw it where it happens on the field. Jermaine Pratt cuts it and almost makes the catch. It still hits Robinson in the hands. One of the route combinations the Ravens were trying to run, and they have run often, is snag flat, out into the flats with Kenyon Drake. A snag with the number 1. Again, it's not drawn where he runs his route. And then from the other side of the field, you have a deeper over concept to run over the top of that snag. So if this defender plays the snag, which he does, then theoretically you could hit the complementary route coming into that space right about here. In this case, Brown gets rid of the ball quickly. Robinson's unable to come up with the catch. Snag flat, the Bengals defend well on the front side all day in Sunday's game in Week 18. I think snag flat with some complementary routes behind it, stacked on top of it, it is an option for the Ravens on Sunday Night Football. Will it work? I don't know, but I don't think snag flat will just work in and of itself. All right, now you've got a 3rd and 13, I believe, on the 5th possession. And this is going to be Hendrickson with a penalty. It's a stunt, and it works. It works great. They're running B.J. Hill up the field, Asai up the field, and then Hendrickson loops underneath. They've occupied the right guard with Wilson, who I don't believe is actively trying to win and rush. He's just trying to occupy Ben Cleveland. And I think what they called was Hendrickson, falling on top of the quarterback. It looked like Hendrickson had something to say, kind of like he always does. Great stunt by the Bengals. We've now occupied 2 rushers, Asai and Hill, with 3 of our blockers. So we've got to do a better job of A, being able to attack, A, being able to, pass pro that better, and then B, attack quickly, to get the ball out so our quarterback doesn't get hit, no matter who the quarterback is. There was also a face mask on Trey Flowers. Could have been a defensive pass interference as well. So 2 flags on 1 snap, and the Ravens accepted the roughing the passer, I believe, for 15 yards. All right, 5th possession, 1st and 10. This is going to be the wheel to likely up the left side, off screen for us to our right. I love how Brown is willing to put the ball up there for guys. I mean, he's got a little bit of youthful, whatever you want to call it, naivete, if I'm saying that right. And that's not the right word either. He's willing to let his guys go make plays. And there's something to be said about that. All right, the pass pro, Linderbaum is one-on-one on Reader, who looks like if the ball was held any longer, would possibly have a chance to get a pressure, but the ball has been held a pretty long time. That's a good job starting from the center on Linderbaum with no help on DJ Reader. Looks like a pretty good job by Ben Powers as well on 95. Ricard is chipping the D end, and then he's going to release out into the flats. This actually happened multiple times in this game where the tailback and someone who was chipping ended up in the same area in the middle of the field. That hasn't happened that often for the Ravens. It's really weird. Over on the right side, Cleveland trying to help out Linderbaum. I feel like that's a pretty good rep all the way around on pass pro. If you can get that, then you have time, and then you will have time to throw the football. I think the absence of Hendrickson on that last play, though, kind of assisted the Ravens. All right, same possession. 3rd and 10 from the 19. And again, it looks like they're running some kind of stunt with Von Bell. He's going to cross over. 12-yard catch for Isaiah Likely. Asai trying to post and press Morgan Moses, and then falls into the quarterback's legs. I couldn't believe this wasn't called a penalty. But I guess they were engaged. I'm talking about here. I guess they were engaged, and maybe the refs thought Osai fell, but his momentum's coming forward. He's just playing football. Certainly no nastiness, but it just happens. That's a contact sport. But I was surprised that wasn't called. That looks like to me contact below the thighs of a quarterback who's finished his throw in motion. Running B.J. Hill upfield in the A gap. Got a B gap defender. Hendrickson going against Stanley, and then again, I think you've got a loop. That looks like something that they're trying to run often. In this case, Ben Cleveland picks it up and lifts Von Bell up off the ground. Well, Von Bell was jumping. 6th possession. This one's horrible. 3-man rush by the Bengals. So give them credit for, committing to something that's a little unusual. 3-man rush. Ravens do a really poor job, if you ask me. Ronnie Stanley gives up, I guess it's his first sack given up this year. Yes, you would say the ball needs to be out. No, we need to not call a pass play here. We need to not put Anthony Brown in this situation in the first place. It's snag flat, guys. It is. Trust me. Off screen, Kenyon Drake's running out into the flats. You got a number 1 receiver who's running a snag route. Again, that's not exactly where he's running the route because I only have so much screen to deal with. It's snag flat. Who defends it well? Jermaine Pratt. He defends the snag concept again. They've dropped Hubbard out into the middle of the field, and you've got Logan Wilson. So they've dropped 8, and that complementary route by Kolar, into potentially the vacated space here. Ronnie Stanley just needs to anchor down quicker, if you ask me, and not get walked back into the quarterback. But Hendrickson ends up going B-gap. Hendrickson did a nice job, I think, with his left hand, getting his left hand into the right chest plate of Ronnie Stanley and controlling him. Nobody else went in there. Joseph Asai gets the fumble recovery. I'm not to be honest with you, scared that that's going to happen, multiple times in this game coming up. Can Trey Hendrickson win those battles? Absolutely he can. He can win against anybody. Do I expect him to get multiple sacks and pressures against Ronnie Stanley? No, I don't. So that'll be a huge matchup. Ronnie Stanley's got to be damn near perfect. Just for real, he does. Morgan Moses has got to be really good. Maybe not perfect, but he's got to be really good. In my opinion, I'm kind of encouraged by what I saw, even though there's some negative yardage plays there. It looks like to me the Ravens can run block the fronts that the Bengals show. And it looks like in a lot of these situations, as long as the ball's out quick, the Ravens can pass pro them as well. Individual matchups that are huge, Hendrickson versus Stanley. Reader versus the interior three for the Ravens, Zeitler, Linderbaum, and Powers. Whoever he's matched up against in the past, in the run game, I should say. And then over on the other side, Hubbard and whoever they rush, Asai versus Morgan Moses. The Ravens have to win 4 of those 5 matchups consistently, if you ask me, to have a real chance to actually put some points on the board. Let me know what you guys think of the video in the comment section, if you agree or disagree with some of my evaluation of the plays. If you think I missed any elements, I didn't want to show every play, but I like showing the end zone angle when we talk about O-line because I think it lets you see hand placement. I think it lets you see angle and how difficult some of the blocks are that certain offensive linemen are asked to do. Appreciate you guys' time. Let me know what you think of the video in the comment section.